မင်္ဂလာပါ Weekends with စစ်စုသားချွန်းအစီအစဉ်ကကြိုဆိုပါရစေကျွန်မစစ်စုသားချွန်းဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီအပတ်အစီအစဉ်မှာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဆိုင်ရာအထူးအာဏာကုန်လွှဲအပ်ခြင်းခံရတဲ့ကိုရီးယားတာအမတ်ကြီး His Excellency Mr. Lee Sang-Hwa နဲ့တွေ့ဆုံမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ကျမတို့အခု45နှစ်တာကြာမြင့်ပြီဖြစ်တဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံနဲ့ကိုရီးယားနိုင်ငံကြားဒီတန်တမန်ရေးရာဆက်ဆံမှုကိစ္စတွေကိုလည်းတာမတ်ကြီးနဲ့ဆွေးနွေးသားမှာဖြစ်ပြီးတော့နောက်ပြီးတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံအပါအဝင်ကမ္ဘာတစ်ဝန်းလုံးမှာဆင်ခေါ်နေတဲ့ COVID-19 အပေါ်ကိုရီးယားနိုင်ငံကနေပြီးတော့အောင်မြင်စွာတုံ့ပြန်နေတဲ့ကိစ္စတွေကိုလည်းတာမတ်ကြီးနဲ့ဆွေးနွေးသားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်မင်္ဂလာပါ안녕하세요
안녕하세요မင်္ဂလာပါ
Thank you Excellency Mr. Lee Sang-Hwa for joining us on Weekends with Sisu Tachon and for receiving Channel 1 at your embassy.
My pleasure.
Let me begin our discussion with the rich bilateral relations that we have and to invite you to share with the audience on the 45 years of diplomatic relations that we have between the two countries.
Good question. Thank you for asking that. As you know, this year, 2020, marks 45th anniversary of our two countries' diplomatic relationship. Last year, 2019, was very special in terms of our bilateral relations. Not only because the leaders of our two countries met twice. First one in Naypyidaw in September, and second one in Busan in November. Having such frequent summit-level meetings in such a short period of time is unprecedented, very, very unusual. But also, I would say we have nurtured our relationship in many, many areas, including the cultural, people-to-people exchanges, and economic side as well. So our intention is to upgrade our bilateral relationship to the new height in this year.
Excellency, it's really wonderful to hear of that high-level exchange, the summit-level exchange between the two countries. I remember when I was a kid that I used to go to, when there was an opportunity, to the National Theatre and watch the Korean troops perform such beautiful cultural dances. And I was so enthralled with how the Korean ladies would dress up in their beautiful, colorful gowns. And I've always looked at them and I've always wanted to be like that. And those were the days when we, of course, did not have television. So that was the only exposure we have of what Korean brings to us. So that kind of people-to-people exchange have a lasting impact on us. And I think we have a lot of those happening at this point in time too, Excellency.
That's the very good question. When our country, our government is pursuing actively its flagship diplomatic initiative, which is a new Southern policy, we put the most importance in promoting people-to-people exchanges. That makes New Southern policy different from previous governments, the outreach to ASEAN region. And when it comes to people-to-people exchanges, there are many ways. Education, the cultural exchanges, tourism. Last year in Busan, what happened in Busan was the state councilor, Do Aung San Suu Kyi, was the main speaker at one of the key side events, Culture Innovation Summit. At that meeting, she delivered a keynote speech stressing the need to promote the people-to-people exchanges including through the collaboration. Greater collaboration among creative industries such as dramas, the movies, soap operas, K-pop, you name it.
I think in Myanmar, everybody is hooked to watch the Korean soap operas, and Korean food, of course, is one of our favorites. Yes, absolutely. So going from such a warm area of discussion of the 45 years of bilateral relations, I would like to go to COVID-19 and the responses that Korea has undertaken. The world has been quite pleasantly surprised by the way that Korea has undertaken in terms of drive-through testing, in terms of some latest innovative approaches to combating the transmission of COVID-19. But in one of your articles, you said the success of Koreans' effort would not have been there if the public has not participated in a mature way. And I was struck with that statement. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Having public support is key in combating, the COVID-19, in my opinion. And building public trust is key. What is happening in Korea is, we are very encouraged by very voluntary, proactive participation of the public through many ways. Personal, the sanitation, hand washing, and the social distancing and reduction, the density reduction campaign, and the public discipline. We haven't seen any panic buying or hoarding. So we take pride in such the high level the public support, and one of the key element in achieving the securing public support is the government has succeeded in learning from the past experiences. We learned a severe risk of new infectious disease and its ramification from the MERS,
Right.
Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, back in 2015. At that time, the 36 people died in Korea, which is the largest number outside the Middle East.
Right.
So it was a very bitter experience for us. So we revamped, we overhauled the disease control prevention system in Korea. And KCDC, Korea Center for Disease Control, is held up as a national hero at the moment.
Right.
So when they say something for the public to do something, people, place the deep confidence in their guidelines, and they follow suit. They take the lead and lead by example.
Okay.
And I would like to add, what we are teaching at school. The students are taught to think and act like a global citizen. So global citizenship campaign at the school level is turned out to be very, very effective.
Is it a campaign or is it also part of the curriculum?
It's part of the curriculum. Part of the curriculum.
Okay. And this curriculum is embedded since at the primary level?
Yes, the primary level up to the
Right
college
through.
and university level.
I see.
Because the people are being taught there are shares and dues you have to play as a member of the society, and as long as the reduction, density reduction and social distancing, the campaign goes on and on, the stress level and sense of fatigue goes up naturally.
Right.
But people understands it's right thing to do, and it's time for belt tightening and burden sharing. So we believe a stitch in the time saves nine.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I would like to just link that to what you have also mentioned elsewhere about transnational challenges. You were talking about the global citizenship that is being nurtured at while people are still young, and I think you mentioned elsewhere about the challenges, transnational challenges. Now, when we think of and the need to come together, so when you hear transnational challenges, we often think about transnational organized crimes, like drugs or human trafficking or trafficking in arms, or terrorism. But you mentioned that it's also about climate change. It's also about communicable diseases such as this. So what can we do better together around the world to achieve some tangible result to address the onslaught of global challenges?
That's a good question. That's what exactly we did intended. We did intend to achieve at the ROK ASEAN Summit meeting in November last year in Busan. The leaders they agreed that as you said, different threat requires a different strategy. And we are living in the world. We're seeing more and more, transnational, the crimes and challenges emerging. So the leaders agreed the collective response is required more than ever in this region. The greater partnership between, the Korea and ASEAN, ASEAN plus 3, Korea, China, Japan. So when it comes to climate change, for instance, the Myanmar is one of the most vulnerable countries. Let's say, the deforestation.
Right.
I was struck, by surprise when I learned, Myanmar is one of the 3, the worst hit countries when it comes to deforestation. So Korean government has decided at the Busan, the summit meeting, to place headquarters in Naypyidaw, ROK Mekong Biodiversity Center. It is intended to assist, the Mekong countries, including Myanmar, because the Myanmar and other Mekong, the partners are rich in natural resources. So we would like to, help those countries, including Myanmar, to preserve its, the great natural resources.
Thank you.